Hi Tea Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out Tower of God Season 2 Episode 20. We are getting into more and more of these workshop battles, obviously pulling back some more of the creepy layers of Emily and everything that's going on, and a little bit of crossover. We had the hug with Rock and Bomb in the last one, which does have my heart forever. But we're getting like Lororo showing up and everything that's going on with like Beta and all of the stuff that unlocks, right? Like we're getting into kind of the final parts of the workshop battle saga that's been going on. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm just having fun with it at this point. I think that's where I'm at. In 3, 2, 1, go. That's my boy. Same. Oh, good transition though. Like he was in denial, but like it fully hadn't sunk in until this moment. Yeah, we need to be like more subtle, which is not Rock's strong point. Just the madness of having his friends around him. Again, like old times. Mm-hmm. What a meeting up again. Yeah, oh, look at my wrist. I suddenly have to be somewhere else. Smooth. The important thing is that they didn't freak out. He's so cute. No, this is my sweet boy. It's been a hot minute since he's been around in the webtoon, and I miss it. Wow, that dance animation is oof. Mm-hmm. She did, yeah. She continued to be awful to children. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, you always have a choice. But it does vindicate me in the fact that I never forgave her. I have a grudge against Sophia, specifically. Y'all were supposed to be playing cool. Yes. Oh, look at his cool face. Oof. What a stark transition. And a little bit of foreshadowing, unfortunately. Yeah, there's so much going on with all that. I was like completely gone from my memory that there was like a whole party going on, because I'm like, there's so much going on behind the scenes of just like the madness that's about to unfold in what I'm assuming is going to be like probably like the last like 3 or 4 episodes at least. It'll kind of depend on what the pacing is going to be, but there's so much. Especially, I guess like the last episode might be like a little bit more slow paced, at least like part of it, in terms of like setting up some of the stuff that's going to be going into a potential season 3. Like, I'm assuming they're going to be keeping it open. I have no idea if we're actually getting a season 3, because I don't know, this season happening also seemed like a little bit weird, which I understand considering that it was like a Crunchyroll show, right? So I was already like a little bit worried about like what would be happening anyway, even if there hadn't been all of the weirdness of switching up companies and stuff. So usually shows where they end up like switching animation studios also is a little bit ambiguous about what's going to happen to them, but I'm assuming we're going to get like a little bit of setup going into the next season. Even if it's just like following like the webtoon. The webtoon usually has like a little bit of a breather at the end of each of the like, kind of arcs and seasons. It is pretty cool that this eye looks like an eye. See, I love that there's all these like rules and things about like how this tournament is actually supposed to work, and I'm like, I know that this all goes haywire. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many points where like there are a bunch of rules given to me that I just kind of like tune out for, even when I'm doing like webtoon stuff, because I'm like, none of y'all are gonna follow the rules. You're gonna be like, I want this, and they're just gonna go after it. Oh yeah, no, I remember you. Speaking of nightmare fuel in this series, I need Kun's hair to go back to its normal color. It freaks me out that it's not the right kind of blonde. It's like a warm tone, and I don't like it. Oh, yeah. Oof. Dang, what a sound the voice actor made for that. Yeah, very nondescript. Insightful, Anak, thank you. Very moody team. Okay, this single dad energy of Shibisu is so real. You always have my attention. Off-brand Daft Punk. Wow. Elegant beta. Well done. Yeah. The fact that there are multiple is something that's, keep that in mind. What a horrific little way of showing some of that. Yeah, he's still in his I go alone phase. Way to give a pep talk to be like, hey, you might die instantly. It's probably fine. Pretty. Nice. That's kind of how I feel. I'm like, look, I understand that Quattro's insane, but he's ours, you know? Oh, I'm having flashbacks with this one. Hang on. Ooh, sorry. Trauma flashback. Because I remember this. Distraction. Also, like, not necessarily important, but the fact that um Teddy Bear and Casino aren't always mirrored for each other does get to me a little bit. I feel like they should always be mirrors, right? They should always be like Teddy Bear on like the left of the screen, Casino on the right, so that they're mirrored all the time. And they're not, and it bothers me. Well, we'll understand some of it. I don't know if I understand everything. There's so much going on. Every time I think I understand something, we get introduced to like a new person who has been in the tower for a while. And my brain is like, oh, we have to do more of this. We have to peel back more layers. I do love Novik though. Those eyes really do say a lot, don't they? Plus, they were like basically hostages, right? Like they just kind of were like taken along. They weren't like actually joining the other side. Yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing. Also, okay, I also understand like the logistics, but the fact that like you can't hear him speaking into a mask. Same with Kuhn. Does make me like a little bit. Again, gets to me just like a little bit. Because usually the sound mixing's really good. And I get like for the sake of like clarity, you would want to do that. But I feel like there should be like a little bit of a different effect to the voice because there's masks covering the mouth, right? Big brain time. Like, it's an experiment. Risk it. I wouldn't even question it, honestly. I would just assume he was 10 steps ahead of me. I love how he seems just as confused. See, they're always consistent. I feel vindicated now about my whole thing with Teddy Bear and Casino. If they're technically two halves, they should be mirrored at all times. No, his special power is run. And we got our crazy boy. Yay! I do like that Quattro is just as excited to see Rock as I am. Seriously, like I need to go back to looking having this the right hair color. It's freaking me out. And I'm sure that that piece of information will not become critical at any other point in the future. Right? Look, I'm so much farther on the webtoon at this point that I'm like, stressed, man. Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of experimentation on children, which is a whole thing. That's me like every time. Like every time I feel like I figured something out in the tower, it's like this has been going on for far longer than you can understand. I'm like, dang it. Mm-hmm. They needed the right devil, though. Also, the voice actor for Beta's having so much fun. I appreciate it. Like, it's relaxed, a little condescending. I think it fits the character really well for this part. And you trusted it. Never trust someone who can't see their eyes. I've watched enough anime to know that. My boy! It's probably fine. Don't worry about it. As always. Oh, hello! You should probably actually follow. Ooh, what a transition. Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember all this. That's in here forever. Quite a bit of exposition in this one, which I get, right? Like, we're setting up the end of the workshop battles. I always just find it like a little bit difficult because I have read the webtoon, so like a bunch of this information or like the reveals and stuff, I'm like, I know all of this because I've gone through the story. But I understand that like you need all of this setup, and like I said, I'm like probably the next 3 or 4 episodes are going to be like really heavy with all the stuff that they need to cover in the next little bit. There's so many players in it as well, which I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that in terms of animation and like managing it, pacing, just like the sheer number of moving parts that are about to happen. But it does make me interested to see how we're going to end off in terms of, again, are we setting up for another season? Are we setting up just following what the webtoon is, which is also like setting up for there to be another installment? But it makes me interested to see how we're going to go through a bunch of it. I like that we're getting a little bit more of the serious tone in this. Like, obviously the humor is still something that I really like. I like it in the webtoon as well. I think that it does a really good job of relieving some of the tension that's happening, but I like that we're focusing in for this because it's supposed to be this like high pressure situation. There's so many important things that are being set up, so I understand, but like it's again really interesting to see how many things, because I'm like quite a bit further ahead in the webtoon, not super far considering how many chapters there are, but it is still really interesting to me to see how much stuff was just like set up at this point. It's like things are being referenced later on, and I think that's super interesting of just what is going to be involved, and even just like these little moments where Bum here was like, I don't want to make like unnecessary sacrifices, and like how many times does that come up, right? Of him being like, I don't want other people to have to suffer because of what I'm trying to accomplish, or even just talking about like devil, we have lots of like devil and god and those kind of images all swirling together around who Bum is, and this idea of a soul being toyed with in a lot of ways too by the people in the tower. I think that there are so many interesting little things set up in this. I think even just like having the close-up on like Beta's eye, right? You can see some of the kind of intensity coming through, and I was thinking, because I said the voice actor for Beta is having a lot of fun and he has this laid back condescending kind of tone that he's performing in. But then we had like the yell when he like ran at Bomb, and that had a different kind of unhinged feeling to it, which is part of who Beta is, right? Like he's been through so much that there's like this swagger to his presentation, but there's so much chaos going on underneath of that. So I think getting that kind of look in his eyes, I think they did a really good job of having some of the intensity that is there and showing that there's so much more going on with him as a character that we're going to start to peel back some of those layers as we go through. But it's fascinating to me, especially like even just the number of layers within the workshop battle of just failed experiments. And I hate to say that, but like we're talking about with the story with Kun and Wangnan, where it was like a successful experiment, right? And then you have Oryang and Casino and Beta, right? Like you have all these kind of like failed experiments because Bomb was what they actually wanted, right? VOA was like the end product that they were hoping for. And I think that's also just like a really interesting comparison of experimentation and science and trying to figure things out, but from this place that is very warped and sinister. And what does it mean again for Bomb to be the kind of person who's, I don't want any unnecessary sacrifices, and then to in the same episode learn that a bunch of children were experimented on in order for like him to be the final product. Like that within the same episode is such a like powerful thing, and it makes me like a little bit sad. It's moments like those where I feel like it hits me the most that we're getting like the bare minimum animation, because I feel like there are so many ways in which you could have made that hit. And the only reason I know that's a thing is because like, that it hits me the way that it does is because I know the kind of thematic resonance of that throughout a bunch of the rest of the story. But I feel like there was a way for that information to come at us where you could feel the weight of that, right? Like the significance of those two moments coexisting in the same episode, I think says a lot. Like Bomb's intention versus the reality of the world that he's living in. But again, maybe I'm like nitpicking at this point, but I'm still having fun, honestly. I feel like I'm too invested in like the characters and the world and the story at this point that it's just fun for me to go back through some of the story through a different lens. And they do some interesting things in certain parts of the adaptation and all of that. But I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a Tower of God reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.